the department versus Shelby Fox. In the interest of Caden Reeves, we're here on a compliance hearing. And also cause number 99629D, the department versus Lindsay Garrett. In the interest of Jalen Van Cleve, also a compliance hearing. Mr. Taylor apparently is in the process of moving offices. His IT is all down. He wasn't able to log in, and he was having a difficult time even emailing. So my understanding, he's not going to be present, but he has indicated that his client, Ms. Fox, is in agreement with today's proceeding as far as continuing services. Ms. Fox, you're present. Can you unmute your device?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct? Your agreement to continue working services?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so in that case, Ms. Fox is obviously present. Mr. Taylor is not, but he's been in communication with the court. Ms. Zavala is present as the child's attorney, guardian ad litem. Mr. Groff is present for the department. If she is in agreement, is there anything we need to further that we really need to take up on the Fox case? I've reviewed the report, obviously, and kind of know where we stand.
Yeah, I don't believe so, Your Honor, and I appreciate the agreement. We'll continue to work services with this family and hopefully get to a place where reunification is possible.
And Your Honor, I will note the kids seem to be doing great. I was able to visit with them. The one thing that they really would like, I told them that I wasn't sure that we could do, but they really would like to have contact with Christian, a brother who lives with Dad. And so I told them that I would bring it up and ask about it, but I explained that he's not a party to this case and that I can't make that happen, but they would love to have some contact with him.
All right, Christian, and he's a brother to them?
Yes, and I apologize in my notes. I did not know which one he's the brother to. Shelby.
Ms. Fox, what's the relationship?
So that is actually Caden's half brother.
Okay. How old is he?
He is 6.
Okay. Does the department have contact information about who he lives with and all that information?
He's not part of our system, Your Honor, but I know the kids are placed with a grandmother. I don't know if maybe the grandmother doesn't have that contact information because of the half brother status, but I don't know that my client has any objection if that can be arranged, if they can, maybe mom has the contact information.
I think the main thing is, Ms. Fox, if you can get contact information to your caseworker, we might be able to set it up for placement and, they can just make arrangements to get the kids together.
Okay, I can do that. That's not a problem.
It might not have to be anything that's done through the department. In other words, they could just, set a play date for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala, you think we can start there?
Yes, I think that would be great. And like I said, the kids seem to be doing really well.
Okay, great. All right then. Obviously, then we'll continue the services in the Fox case, and we'll have our next compliance hearing on that on July 15th, 2025. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Okay, Ms. Fox, you're free to go if you want. We're going to talk about the other case. You're free to stay if you want. We're treating these as companion cases, but so in the Garrett case, let's see. I don't have Mr. Hammond's logged in. Do we have any agreement on that case?
Yes, Judge, I can speak to that. Mr. Hammond sent an email out yesterday. He's in Canyon in a felony hearing before Judge Johnson. He indicated that his client is in the Hutchinson County Jail. He spoke with her last Friday. It looks like she's likely to be there for a couple of months, and then she will be transferred to Amarillo to deal with a probation violation. He goes on to indicate eventually she would like to cooperate with St. Francis, complete her services so she can regain custody of Jalen. But for now, she believes Jalen is in a safe environment with her grandmother in Graham, Texas, and she's not suggesting any changes to placement. And I think he sent that out to everybody, all the parties.
And I also got it. I didn't know if he'd actually signed off on an order with you, but that's fine. So sounds like they are in agreement just to continue and continue the services and work through this. So since it didn't seem like there was any any problems with placement or any disagreement about that. So okay. Ms. Zavala, anything additional on the Garrett matter?
No, Your Honor. It was nice to hear them both talking about the friends that they've made and how well school's going. No concerns.
Okay. All right then. Okay, then we'll obviously just continue. Like I said, in the Garrett case, we'll continue the services. And we will have a compliance hearing on that case as well on July 15th, same time on the 9 o'clock docket. And I appreciate everybody logging in this morning. And I will see you all back in July. I don't think I had any, I didn't have any particular questions or concerns about where we're at on this. And so it sounded like the kids are doing good. So, all right. I appreciate y'all. In the interest of Elijah Carter, we are here today for a status hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming and Ms. Galvan is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Tar Outley as my permanency specialist. We're present ready, Your Honor.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Ms. Sansom. We're present and ready.
Your Honor, I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent Mr. Carter, Trey Carter, and I don't know if he's here or not, but I'm here.
He is not present. He hasn't logged in, but I'll watch the waiting room.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Elijah.
Okay. What do we have new since the court report was filed, Mr. Outley?
Elijah's still with foster parents in White Deer, Texas. He's doing well. And still doing visitations with mom, dad. He hasn't requested any kind of visitations or anything.
I'm sorry, Judge.
Oh, I should say and I'm assuming he still has not signed his service plan.
No.
Okay. So we really had very little contact.
No contact at all. By the time I set up a meeting with him, I show up to his house, he's not there. He has, like I said, when he gets off work, he'll be there, but I go there, no one's there.
Okay.
And Judge, mom did sign her service plan. Those are both filed on April 3rd, mom and dad's.
Okay. All right. And it appears Miss Sansom is cooperating and getting some things scheduled.
She lost a copy of, talking to him. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was asking you, is mom getting her stuff scheduled?
She lost a copy I gave her, so I have to give her another one, but she plans to get started as soon as possible.
And the referrals have been sent? All that's
Yes.
set up for her, she just got to make appointments?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Sansom, you realize you've got limited amount of time to get these things done, so you need to start.
And
You need to
also,
get started
like,
on them.
I do have services with TPC. Like, I'm meeting a lady on Wednesday about further things about that. So like that's another thing y'all can add.
Okay.
Yeah, services with TPC is like going again.
Okay, very good. All right, Mr. Alley, anything else to report?
No, that's it at this time.
Okay. All right, Ms. Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Sansom has requested that we look into a home study for and she may need to spell it for us, but I've
No,
got this.
not for Quasidra, but for my auntie, Crystal Martinez. And I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that yesterday, but my mom had told me like last minute, just yesterday before I talked to Antar, that they were like my family was working on keeping him within the family and not like with a family friend.
Okay, so can you just tell the court the name then that you would like so that the judge can write it down?
Crystal Martinez.
And how is Crystal related to you?
That's my aunt, like my biological mom, that's her sister, and that's
Okay.
my aunt.
That's
Okay.
really the only update we've got, Judge. If we could do a home study, that would be great.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Sampson, have you given that information to your permanency specialist?
Like Antar, yeah. And he said that like they're working on it.
Yes, I've talked to Crystal and I got all the information. The request has been sent. I'm just waiting for notification that they talked to him.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, Mr. Eldridge, anything to report?
I guess not, Your Honor. No,
Okay, Ms.
I
Zavala?
haven't had any contact with my client since the last hearing. So I thought he was gonna kind of get on this, but apparently not.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I've gone to visit Elijah in his placement. He is doing great. I was really glad to see that sibling visits were set up with him and Damien. The virtual visits had to be moved from placement's home to the St. Francis office because mom had an extreme inappropriate response during one of the visits. I would ask that because now the child has to be transported a full hour for that visit, that mom check in ahead of time so that they don't get in the car and drive to Amarillo if that visit's not going to happen. The other thing is the visit with brother, those have been going really well, and they appear to be very important to Elijah and both boys, even though one is not in our case. I will say that Darren Hatley, Damien's father, who has played a big role in Elijah's life, Elijah got to see him at one of the visits, and clearly they are very bonded. Great love there. I was going to ask about whether there were any home studies pending, because in my mind, with Damien being the brother, and that could be a fictive kin type placement if we wanted to look at that. I do believe
Darren
that
doesn't have a house.
I'm still talking.
Yeah, hang on, Ms. Sampson, you can't interrupt because the court reporter can't take it down. So let her finish what she's saying and I'll come back to you.
I would love to see Elijah and Mr. Hatley to have a little more visitation, whether he can be in part of Damien's visit. It clearly appears to be a really important relationship to Elijah.
Okay. All right, Ms. Sampson, you can say what you wanted to say now.
I agree with that. Like, I just thought she was trying to get Elijah to like stay with Darren for the time being, and he doesn't even have his own house, so I doubt he'd pass the home study or whatever. But yeah, Darren and Elijah, their relationship is like really, really tight, and he considers him as his dad, so I agree with what Savannah said, or whatever her name is.
Ms. Zavala is the child's attorney and she's the one that's advocating for
Yeah.
Elijah to have more contact with Mr. Hatley, and you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. Darren wishes like he could have better contact too, And I was a little confused why the first time he was able to see him throughout the visit, and the second time he had to like sit in the other room, you know?
Okay, Mr. Outley, we have any problems with him participating in the visits with?
Hey, when I did a background check on Mr. Hatley, he had like 2 assault charges in the like last 5 years. So that's why that's why we decided he could not be within range of both kids. But he did talk to me. He said he's gonna bring me a paperwork from his lawyer that says those were dropped and dismissed. I'm just waiting for those documents to prove that.
Okay. Do we know, did he have any convictions for those?
Yes, but he said they were dropped. He said he supposed to get the work, like the work from the documents from his lawyer to prove that they were dropped. So
Maybe it was a deferred or something.
yes, that's what he said.
And I haven't looked those up, Your Honor. I can look into them if they were in Potter County and see what they were.
All right, we'll take a look, but I mean, it's a monitored supervised visit, correct?
Yes.
All right, as long as it's supervised, I don't have a problem with him participating as long as he's appropriate in the visit, you know?
Okay. I'll
He-
let the LSW know.
He's subject to the same rules as everybody else in visitation, so if he
Yes.
behaves himself, that's fine. He can be in there. If he doesn't, then he gets kicked out.
Okay.
Okay. But I understand your concern, and I'm not saying you made the wrong decision. I'm just, let's look at it a little further, and then as long as it's monitored, I think it's okay.
Okay.
And Judge, I mean, obviously I don't represent him, but he was in our previous FBSS case, and I feel like he was really cooperative. So, you know, for what that's worth, I feel like he was cooperative with St. Francis and the department.
Sure. And that's, I mean, and that's why and I'm sure Ms. Zavala, why we're all willing to allow him that kind of contact. So, okay. All right then. So let's talk about the services real quickly. Ms. Sampson, okay, I'm going to order your service plan as an order of the court today. So what that means is it's a court order, like any other court order. I expect you to follow it and abide by it. So there's some consequences if you fail to work those services. It could mean that Elijah doesn't come home, and worst case scenario, it can mean termination of your parental rights. So that's why I wanted to encourage you to get started on things, because, you know, it's really important that you get through all of these things. Okay?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying, that if you don't get
Yes.
worked, it can, I mean, there can be some real serious consequences. So if you need
The only
help,
thing I lacked on.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, are you talking about the parenting classes? Like, that's the only thing I have not done, right?
Well, I don't know that we've seen completion of any services yet, but I mean, I understand you may have scheduled some things. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying though is, you know, make those appointments, keep on top of those things. You know, if you miss stuff, you just get further behind. And so it's just really, really important that you get going on them.
Right. Okay.
Okay. All right, then, today, then I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I make a finding that there would be a continuing danger to the child to return the child home at this time, to either parent. I'm going to order the service plans as an order of the court. And I'll see everybody back for our initial permanency hearing on August 19th of 2025. That will also be on a 9 o'clock docket. Of course, expect the department to continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Okay, thank y'all.
Judge, just real quick from Mr. Alley. I'm only seeing one assault case on Mr. Hatley in Potter County right now. That was in 2022. It was a domestic violence case that had mom listed as victim in there. That case was dismissed.
Okay,
So there was no conviction on that one. I don't know about the other case. I don't know where it was out of, but
okay. All right, well, sounds good to me. I'll make sure he gets to see both boys at the same, he has to be a part of the visitations.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Huh?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge.
Interest of Isaiah Jeffries, Blasiana Dunn, Mickey Pineda, and Kira Jeffries. All right, we're here for a status hearing in this case. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record. Okay, we will take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and Tar Outley as my permanency specialist. We are present and ready. Your Honor, I received a call right before the hearing started today from Mr. Taylor, mom's attorney. He told me he's having computer issues, had to be in another court in another county, but he and his client were in agreement with the orders. He just wasn't able to send me a signature. And that he does not expect her to appear today, and he will not be able to appear today.
I am present and I am representing Keon Mathis. My client is not present. He is in the Potter County Jail. We're actually calling the jail right now, and I'm sorry, that's what I was doing. That's to see whether or not he wanted to appear. I thought he did today, but then things may have broken down from them. So I'm just gonna see if I can get him on the phone while we're doing the hearing.
Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right, then, Mr. Outley, if you want to give us an update.
Okay. Kids are doing fine in all placements. Only complaint the mom has that she's not been receiving calls from her two kids in Lubbock at the Boys Ranch place. She's supposed to get calls on Wednesdays and Sundays. And she hasn't been receiving calls in like the last 2 weeks, and she had a concern about that. But she's doing her service, but mom's working on her services. She already completed parenting. She's one service away from completing counseling. She did her psychosocial with TPC. So she's on track, doing really well.
Mr. Alley, have we looked into what's the situation with the calls and mom not getting them? Do we know why?
No, I plan on calling this afternoon and see what the problem is.
Okay, Ms. Brunson is present with
Yeah.
us. Ms. Brunson, do you have any idea why we're not getting phone calls out?
I do not. I just texted their foster parents to ask. They should be calling. I know they have a set time that they typically call, so I don't know if it's maybe they're calling and she's not answering during that time, but I am reaching out to the foster parents real quick to make sure we get that back on track.
Okay, so Wednesdays and Saturdays, Mr. Outley?
She said Wednesdays and Sundays.
Sundays, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And Your Honor, while I didn't speak directly with the placement, I did speak with the kids, and they were saying they weren't happening. So I think they feel like they're not happening on their end. I think there's some communication problem in terms of who's supposed to call or when it's supposed to be, because that was the one issue I was going to bring up is the kids were saying they were not getting visits. So I think it is a problem that everybody wants fixed.
Okay, so Ms. Brunson, we just need to communicate between Mr. Outley and you and foster parents about who's to initiate the call and all of that.
Yes, ma'am. We will get that fixed definitely
Okay.
this week.
All right, I appreciate it.
In your honor, on Mr. Outley's defense on this one, as far as what's going on, he's new to this case. He and his supervisor both are new to this case, so they're getting some of this worked out and figuring this case out. But it just got changed over to him.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Okay, all right, Mr. Taylor obviously expressed that he and his client are both in agreement with the order. Sounds like mom's in compliance and doing what we need her to do. Any contact with Mr. Harris or Mr. Johnson?
No, ma'am.
All right, then Ms. Riley.
Yes, ma'am.
anything to report on your end from?
No, I mean, I think my client is in a difficult position. Obviously, he's in, as far as the child is concerned, you know, he would like to,
Yes.
you know, be updated on his child. He'd like to know what's going on. He's willing to work services, but we're very limited on what he can do because he is facing such serious charges, in Potter County. And so, you know, I believe that's what he's told, Mr. Ali as well. I don't know. Have you spoken to him?
No,
Since
he
you
probably
took
spoke
over?
with Haven. I got him last, I just got this case last week, so he probably spoke to the other PS.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I know he had spoken to the last one and said, you know, he's willing to do whatever services he's willing to, that he can do while in jail. But I don't anticipate that he'll be leaving jail anytime soon.
What is the status? I was looking back to see, I mean, he's the alleged father of Isaiah. And we also have Mr. Harris is an alleged father of Isaiah. I'm not seeing an order for genetic testing. Unless I'm just not looking closely enough. Are we gonna get on that right away?
I'm good with that, Your Honor. I can't remember if they weren't requesting, or Ms. Riley, did he state, your client state whether he wanted paternity testing, or is he?
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to try to get him on the phone, and we did try yesterday too, but Potter County Jail was having an issue with their phone calls. The issue here is that he had not decided fully. And so I can let you know today whether or not he wants to have that test or if he just wants to sign. And I can email you as soon as I mean, we're still trying to get him on the phone, but again, there's a problem at the jail. But I can let you know today.
Okay.
And so, Judge, I'm good doing paternity testing on either if they want it. Like I said, Mr. Harris was served also. We've personally served him, so he's aware of the case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, we got personal service on both of them, but yeah, if somebody's gonna request, we sure want to know, and so we can get on it.
yes, ma'am.
So, okay. So yeah, Miss Riley, if you would just confirm with him whether or not, you know, what his position is, so we know.
I actually have him on the phone now, Judge. So while you're doing other things, let me see if I can figure that out real quick.
Sure, it'd be great. Okay, Ms. Valla.
Your Honor, I second what Mr. Trout said. I know that Mr. Outley and new supervisor, everybody's new. But I will say, out of the 3 placements for the 4 children, all 3 of the placements brought up to me, hey, what happened with visitation? We're not getting visitation. So there has been a breakdown in communication as to that sibling visitation and visitation with mom, which seems like it can be easily corrected. It seems like everybody wants that to happen. But from my perspective, the 3 placements that I talked to, they were all saying, hey, there's not this visitation. So that was the biggest issue. And then I have questions about grandmother. Is there a home study in the works for grandmother? What happened with that?
There was a home study for grandmother, but it was denied.
Okay. Would it be possible for you to forward that home study to me?
Yes.
And Stacy, it was filed on the 16th. It was
Oh.
just at the end of last week. I just noticed that.
I'm sorry, I missed it come in then. But all of the kids had a relationship with grandmother. And so the older 2 specifically were asked, of course, the younger ones are pretty young, but the older 2 were asking about contact with grandma. And so I didn't know if visits could be set up. Isaiah looks like a totally new baby. He looks amazing. And so I'm really thrilled with that. And I think it's just he's getting the nutrition he needs now. The kids all seem to be doing very well. And the only real issue is visits with each other, the sibling visits, and with mom in terms of whatever that's going to be, and then potentially visits with grandmother.
Right. Well, hopefully in the next day or 2, we can get all this sorted out with the placements and visitation. And I understand there are a lot of moving parts with when you've got kids in different placements. So just hopefully we can get it resolved pretty quickly. And Ms. Brunson, I'm appreciate you logging in this morning. That helps, just that you're already aware and already working on it on your end. So thank you for your help with that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right then.
And Judge, I did speak to my client. He would request paternity testing.
Okay, very good. All right, then I'm gonna order genetic testing on Mr. Mathis. Regarding Isaiah, I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue all the children's placements. Going to order the service plans as an order of the court today. Don't have any parents here to admonish, but hopefully counsel will do that when they're in contact with them. Mr. Alley, are you requesting any kind of drug screening or anything else like that today?
No.
Okay. All right, then, I'll see everybody back for our initial permanency hearing, and that'll be on August 19th of 2025 on a 9 o'clock docket. Okay, I sure appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you,
Thank
Anton.
you. And I apologize. I forgot to say I find a continuing danger to return the children home. I'm sorry. I'll make that part of your order, obviously. In the interest of the Alonzo children, we are here today for our initial permanency hearing. And we are conducting this through Zoom under finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming. Ms. Galvan is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Bryza Salinas is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Tracy Riley. appearing-
Maureen Lucet. I'm sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
Tracy Riley appearing for Jeremy Alonzo, and the father, he is present, and we're both ready to proceed.
Your Honor, Maureen Lucet on behalf of the mother, Dolores Luna. Your Honor, I'm present and ready. I'm assuming that Miss Luna is also there.
She is. I just let her in. I realized she was in the waiting room, so I've just brought her in. Ms. Luna,
right,
she's
thank you.
muted. Let me make sure we have. Okay, we've got contact with her. Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
Then we'll go ahead and get an update from Ms. Salinas.
Morning. The
Good
kids are doing well. They are placed with maternal great aunt. She seems to be doing really well with keeping all their medical needs and just keeping them safe. They were in daycare since the last hearing. She did have to put them in daycare for work, but since then they have been removed. They were just getting sick and they were just not adjusting well. And so she went ahead and just pulled them out of daycare. And since then, they've just been home with her. They were getting sick a lot. They had COVID, pink eye. They had never been in daycare. So I think it's just that first, going to daycare and you kind of just get all the sicknesses. But they are better now. They're healthier. The visitations seem to be going well. We've moved them to where Diana is now supervising them in her home twice a week for an hour and a half each day. Those visits seem to be going well. It's been about 3 weeks since that has started. So we're just slowly progressing into just, transitioning to reunification hopefully soon. We do have, the parents have finished all their services. Dolores has started college. She's at Amarillo College now. She's wanting to do the nursing program. She did have a slight positive hair follicle in February. It did take a while to come back. And I think she had dyed her hair previously. And so I think that was the reason that it just took a while for it to come back. But since then, she's done another OSAR just so that we could make sure she has the extra support and coping skills that she needs, just in case, And so she did that. It was completed. She continues to have drug court. She did finish Padre for parenting and her counts. She continues to do counseling as well through probation and drug court. attends NA as well through drug court. She's doing really well. If we ask her to do an extra OSAR or anything like that, she is very cooperative and she does it. Jeremy as well has done all his services. He completed his parenting through Fatherhood Fire. We did send him for an OSAR. There was no recommendations, but we did, I just staffed with my supervisor yesterday, and we did want to, of course, just help support and provide positive coping skills. So we were asking if he could attend 6 NA classes, and they could be online if he chooses. He does work. His job has transitioned, so he's home a little later. So we did discuss some of those could be online. And again, just 6, just to make sure he has those extra coping skills, just to make sure we're heading in the positive direction and no relapse happens, and he has those coping skills just in case and stuff. But that's where we're at right now.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Especially as early as we are in the case. So it's very refreshing to parents. I really appreciate how hard you all have worked and the progress that you've made. This is, you know, it's a very good thing. And so we're definitely headed in the right direction. What about dad's visits? I mean, are we?
Him and mom do them together. They
Okay.
are together. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dolores and Jeremy are together, so they attend together. We made it to where he gets home probably around 6:37, somewhere around there, 6:30. And so we just went ahead and moved visits to around 6:30 to 8. It helps them with dinner, prep them for dinner, bedtime, help, you know, the great aunt, she's older. So they just help her with all that stuff.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, all of that's going to make the transition home much easier. So I'm completely in favor of that. So as long as everything, you know, stays good, then we're on solid ground. Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Salinas, so right now the parents are visiting. You stated 1.5 hours per visit twice a week. Is that correct?
Yes, and during the transition, I have to staff to move those up a little bit more just to give them more time as they transition to reunification, correct?
Okay, so and so just to be clear, my client and I are on the same page. So what will happen there with the setting up the transition, then will they be moving hopefully soon into some type of unsupervised visits?
I believe that's the next step. I do have to staff that with my supervisor. But yeah, that would be the next step, is just increasing probably a little bit more time with Diana. Again, it's only been 3 weeks since they've been doing that.
Right.
So we want to just increase the time, maybe give them a little bit more time with Diana supervising. And then the next transition, again, I have to staff that to get the next steps going.
Okay, and whenever y'all get that set up, could you send me just like a draft of it or something, just so I'll have something that I can discuss with my client, please?
I sure can.
Okay, all right. That's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Riley.
I just want to be clear. Jeremy's tested negative during the entirety of the case. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then his OSAR came back and they did not recommend any need for any services.
Correct.
Okay, but despite all that, you all want him to do, and the only reason why I'm asking is that, you know, his work schedule, I mean, he's willing to do whatever it takes, but his work schedule is difficult and he's trying to balance work and his, you know, doing all the other services. So
Well,
is there a reason?
Yeah, he's done with all his other services. It's just the NA, and that's why we accommodated that he do online NA classes. And again, it's just for extra support and coping skills, just because they've recently, you know, got their kids removed prior. And then a couple months later, we were back in the same situation. That's what this case is. And so we just want to make sure he has all the coping skills that he needs, just in case, you know, relapse or anything like that happens again.
Okay, and you discussed that with Jeremy?
Yes, and he was okay with that. I told him that it's just 6, it could be online. And then he'll just send me the date and things like that of verification that he attended. Because I know a lot of them are anonymous. So yeah, so he'll just send me the date, the speaker, the company that he attended online and stuff like that. So, and he has agreed on that as well.
All right, and I know that you have to staff it, but I just want to join with Miss Lucera. Do you have any idea when we can start to see? I know that
Yeah.
my client would like to see increased visitation. Do you have any idea when we can start to move to that next phase?
Yeah, again, it's only been 3 weeks, so I know increased time could be, increased time could be within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Just to give them more time so that we could start that process.
All right, nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Ball?
Miss Salinas, right now the visits are at great aunt's home at 6:30 in the evening. Is that correct?
Correct, till 8 p.m. on 2 days a week.
Okay. And Treasure's 3 and Nico's 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's at the beginning of these visits, well, let me back up. Is Treasure gonna have to have some dental surgery?
I have not gotten confirmation from Diana on that. I do know that a few months ago, she said during the dentist appointment, they told her to stop eating candy and things like that. And so Dolores, I advised Dolores and Jeremy not to bring sugary foods to the visits anymore because of the dentist stating that her cavities were, they're trying to do like all the caps and stuff like that. So.
Okay. It's my understanding that they're gonna have to possibly put her down to do the caps. I mean, you know, to do some anesthesia, to put her down to do the
Yes.
caps on the 2 teeth. Does that sound like what Diana was talking
Yes.
about? You? Okay.
Mhm.
And it sounds like parents stopped bringing as many sweets once they were, would it be possible? It's my understanding that the parents are letting Treasure have Coca-Cola at 6:30 at night on these visits. It sounds like parents have been very responsive to adjustments to that. But would you agree that that's not a good idea to give a 3-year-old who's already got issues with sugar, full caffeinated sugared Coke at 6:30 at night?
Yes, I would agree.
Okay. So is there, other than the dental surgery that's gonna be upcoming, it sounds like both kids are in good health, is that right?
Yes, both of them are doing well. I do know Treasure is getting potty trained and she's struggling with that. ECI has been, I believe, sent out as well. I can't remember when they said they were going to go out. I apologize. To do that, she does have a little bit of behaviors, but we thought they were just the daycare. Since then, Diana has said they've kind of died down and stuff like that. So I think it was more of a daycare issue. And so we've settled that.
And I think you've hit on this. Treasure can have a tendency to have some tantrums. And would you agree that it would be important to have kind of consistent rules for her to help with that?
Yes, and I do want to say Diana has expressed as well that everybody in general, when I go on visits, that everybody babies Treasure. So I don't know if that just accounts for her behaviors. She's a little bit more spoiled than Nico. So I think she knows it.
Okay. Your Honor, those are all the questions that I have for Ms. Salinas. The kids appear to be doing really well in placement, and parents clearly have worked really, really hard. I would ask that they help focus a little bit more on nutrition. I know that Diana is really trying to do fruits and vegetables instead of candy and things like that. It also kind of can ramp her up and have a hard time sleeping after that. But in general, it appears the parents are doing really well and that this is headed the right direction. And I do recommend that this placement continue.
All right, then for today, I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the children's current placement. Make a finding that there would be a continuing danger to return the children home today, but parents are in full compliance. And we will work towards reunification in the case. Sounds like that's already being contemplated. So we'll start with the, increase in visits and start working into that. Yeah, parents just try to be aware that little kids, they don't need any additional ramping up at bedtime. So, just try to be mindful about what all you're giving them. Okay, then I will see everybody back for our next review hearing, August 19th of 2025. That'll be at 9 o'clock in the morning. My anticipation is that children will already be back in the home with parents by that time. And we'll be checking in to see how things are going. So I certainly hope that's the way it is. All right.
And
Thank y'all
Judge,
very much.
Judge, can we get a ruling on as far as adding the 6 NA classes for dad?
Oh, yeah, I'll go ahead and order those as part of his services. Mr. Alonzo, that gives you I think it's not only coping skills for you, but for you should mom relapse. I mean, there's just a lot of, there's just a lot of good, I think, help there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I appreciate your cooperation and I'll see y'all back in August.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Judge.
In the interest of the Lara children, we're here for an initial permanency hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Sean Ryan is permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Jeff Hill on behalf of respondent father, Roberto Lara. Judge, he's in the Potter County Jail. He won't be with us today, but I'm ready.
Anna Gomez on behalf of respondent mother. We're present and ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the boys.
Good. Mr. Ryan, I think you're here to give us an update, so we'll let you start.
There is no update since the court report has been filed, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Real quick, Your Honor, I'd like to ask Mr. Ryan a couple of questions.
Certainly.
Ms. Ryan, mom's doing well right now. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. She's still working good services.
Yes, sir.
There's been a recommendation she completed her, I believe it was individual counseling. There's been some recommendations from the counselor for her to continue that if she's willing to. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. For extra support, yes, sir.
Okay. Have you had that conversation with mom? Have you discussed that with her?
No, I believe Melissa, the person she was doing individual counseling with, has told her that.
Okay. Do you know whether mom is willing to do that or what her plan is on that?
I do not.
Okay. She still got some of her domestic violence classes to finish up, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And she still has with TPC on her substance abuse with Linda Dudley, she's still working on that. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Has mom started going in person on that?
She has.
Okay, so she did start doing that. I saw in the report that on April 7th, Ms. Dudley had said that she needed to start coming in person. So, but she has started doing that.
Yes, sir, she has.
Okay, all right. Do you know how many sessions she's completed since doing that?
I got she's done 6 as of right now.
Okay, 6 total?
With TPC Linda Dudley, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Do you know when she started going in person?
I don't know the exact start date, no, sir.
Okay. All right. How are visitations going?
They're going good. She has 2 visits a week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays for 30 minutes. For the most part, she does well. I've gotten a couple reports from the visit monitor and the caregivers, because they're there virtually as well, that she's ended the visits early because she's been tired from work, things like that. The visits are only for 30 minutes as well, I might add, but for the most part, that she does well with the kids.
Okay. And the 30 minutes of visits, the visits only being 30 minutes are due to the virtual visits and the children's age?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Are we looking, I know it's hard with the kids where they are as far as trying to do in-person visits or stepping up to that. has mom given you any names of family members for home studies?
The only one we had was the only home study we've conducted was the paternal grandmother, and that got denied. I was in contact. I reached out to the maternal grandparents. They haven't given me any verification that they want to intake the kids. They're going through some. They were at the time going through some medical issues with the grandmother.
Okay.
Yadira did mention to me yesterday though that they are willing to bring the kids in. However, I haven't verified that yet because that was just yesterday. So yeah, I would need to verify that, and we would need to do a home study on them as well.
Okay, but now that you have that name and that they're possibly, you'll be reaching out to try to get a home study started?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And once we're able to get the children, if we're able to get the children moved back in area, we can look at trying to start some in-person visits eventually.
Yes, but they are not in area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we
Okay.
can get them back in,
Yes, sir.
to where mom can do the in-person.
Yes, sir.
Any other concerns with mom or anything else that you're requesting mom do?
Not at this time.
Okay, all right. And is dad trying to work anything while he's incarcerated at this time?
Dad is he's not doing anything. He's incarcerated, so no.
Okay. Is he have you given him packets of what he can do while he's incarcerated?
Yes, sir. I gave him a parenting one and anger management, I believe, and he claimed that he did do that. When I went to go see him and follow up with him, he refused to see me, so I never got a chance to get those packets to see if he did complete them. So,
okay. But from what he's telling you, he did do it?
Yes, sir.
Just no verification. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll pass witness. Oh.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're right. Sorry.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor. Do you have something else to say, Mr. Ryan, on that?
No, sir. No, sir, I don't.
Okay. All right. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Gomez?
Hi, Mr. Ryan. A few follow-up questions there. So out of all of the services that my client was initially recommended to complete, my understanding is that she's working on domestic violence classes and the TPC meetings, correct?
Yes. So it'd be TPC, substance abuse, and TPC mental health as well.
And how many of those does she need to attend?
She has about 18 left. She has 18 left with the substance abuse, and for mental health, there's not a specific amount. She's supposed to be going once a month. And discharge her based off their notes of her.
And as far as all of her other services, has she completed those other than the recommendation to continue counseling?
She's done. She's completed parenting with Antonio Graves, and she did complete her individual therapy. But like I said, yes, there was a recommendation that she still do follow-ups with her. So it's on her to schedule the appointments, and it's just an extra support is what the recommendation was if she's struggling.
Okay. And let's see here. Have you had any issues staying in contact with Ms. Godina at all?
No, ma'am.
No issues at all staying in contact. And when was the last time that you visited her home?
Last month.
And what was the condition of the home?
It was good. Clean.
Was there appropriate, bedding and a room for the children
Yes.
at all? Or yes. Okay. And let's see. Are you aware that as far as my client's employment goes, what do you know? Is she working full time? Is she?
Yes. She's provided the pay stubs for me as well. She reported to me that she's working at Burger King at the moment.
You aware of how long she's been working at Burger King?
I believe a month and a half, maybe. I'm not exact sure the exact start date, but I have to go back and check.
Can you think of any other concerns that you have about my client right now that we haven't really
Um,
addressed?
Yes, ma'am. I am kind of concerned that she has ended the visits early. Considering that, you know, they're really not that long. They're just only about 30 minutes, and it's only 2 times a week as well. Um, and that kind of concerns me with being like, you know, a full-time parent and everything, especially with Jace having autism as well. He needs high care. So that'd be my concern. Yes, ma'am.
In the middle of those visits, is she ending them in the middle of interaction, or is there really just not a whole lot of interaction going on?
Yeah, she reported that she was tired. A couple of them that she was tired. Sometimes there is times where the kids are very young and they kind of just go off and do their own things. That is correct, but there has been times where she's been too tired to complete the visit. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Has that been since she started working?
Yes, ma'am.
You can understand, you know, starting a new full-time job, getting used to it a couple times
ma'am.
here and again, might be a little exhausted. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to report, Mr. Ryan?
Not at this time.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Hill, anything to report today?
No, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
Mr. Ryan, the placement has offered to meet in the middle once a month. And is it correct that mom got a in-person visit recently?
Yes, ma'am. That was they have offered a few times. She did have a visit this month in person, and it was on April 11th.
Okay. And then Jace, as you were saying, was diagnosed with autism, and he's got some speech therapy going on. Is that right?
Ma'am, he's currently doing speech, play, and occupational therapy.
Okay. And when he came into care, he was essentially nonverbal, but has become much more verbal. Would you agree with that?
Correct.
And I believe in those therapy sessions, the therapists are providing some recommendations to the foster parents in how to work with him to increase his verbal skills.
Absolutely.
Okay. Would it be helpful if we could get mom linked in and attending those therapy sessions virtually so that she can be learning those same things as well?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that could be arranged.
Okay. Did we lose
saying?
that?
You're talking about learning so you can bring the child home.
I'm sorry?
I'm so sorry, I wasn't muted. Excuse
And then, for example, some of the things that they're working with Jace are giving him examples of, do you want to do this or do you want to do this? Because that forces him to give an answer that's more than just yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
So some simple practical things that could really help mom interact with the child. Is there any objection to allowing her to attend any and every therapy session that could be done?
If mom can't attend virtually, I can forward her the therapy notes as well. That could be an option for whatever reason. I'd have to look into that. I can't give you a definite answer on that, but I can definitely look into that.
That would be great. From my perspective, I would love to have mom have all the information she can to help with the kids. It also sounds like placement would be willing to fly out to Amarillo and cover some of that cost if they had some financial support in order to do that. Is that right?
They have offered that in the past. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But now you're saying that there is a family member that is open to having a home study?
Yes, ma'am. I reached out to the maternal grandparents. I need to verify. I haven't yet verified with them. But once I get the verification from them and I ask them and they give me their word that they're willing to do that, then we can go on with that process.
That's great. Okay. those are all the questions I have for Mr. Ryan. Are you ready for my recommendation, Judge?
I am, yes.
Okay. The boys are doing really, really great in placement. Mom has worked really hard, and we've got to make sure that she gets more time with the kids. It sounds like the beginning virtual visits were going really well at a time when mom would do books and drawings and activities with them. I think with the change in work, I don't, it sounds like she's not doing that anymore, and then they aren't being as effective. So I do think that could help hold their attention for a little longer, but I had heard the same reports that she was cutting them short because of being tired, but I think there are some workarounds to help those go a little better. I do think we should continue to do those once a month visits. I'm very interested in the home study, because as a practical matter, in order for mom to get more of the time, they're gonna have to be closer. However, with Jace's autism, I really would hate to see him bounce to another house, then bounce to another house. If we could have a home study or someplace that could be a bit more permanent, as they transition through, that would be really helpful. But I absolutely believe mom needs more contact and more information, so that she can continue working on her parenting skills with these boys.
Thank you, Ms. Vol. All right, so today, what I want to do is continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the children's placement. I'm gonna make a finding there's a continuing danger to return the children home today, but that mom is in compliance with her family plan of service. I am gonna order, I mean, so Mr. Ryan, this changes the landscape a little bit. I'm gonna order that mom participate in the child's, in those speech therapy sessions, occupational, whatever you want to call them, whatever category that all they fall into. But because I think there's some very valuable information and skills that she needs to be learning before the kids come home. And I think that needs to happen pretty quickly, because if I'm also going to order that if grandparents verify, we're going to initiate an expedited home study on them. Because I want to get these kids back closer ASAP. You know, particularly with a child with special needs, it's just critically important that we have them in region, in area, and close. So I'm not a mind reader, but I am for limited purposes today. Ms. Godina, I understand. I know you want the kids to come home today. Okay. That's not going to happen, because I want you to start participating in some of these other things and start learning some of these skills for when we do get the kids closer. Because if we get them here with your parents, they're going to be transitioned over to speech therapy, occupational therapy, everything right here, which is even better, because then you can have a much more hands-on, approach to this other than just virtual. But right now the virtual is the best we can do. So I'm going to order that happen. So everybody's got to play ball with that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add, the maternal grandparents, they do live in Laredo, Texas as well.
Oh, God.
They don't live in
I had
Amarillo.
somebody close.
Yes, ma'am. They do live in Laredo, Texas.
But if I may, Your Honor, I think at that point, it makes it easier for just her to be, it makes it a little bit closer to home, even though really nothing about the parameter changes, if that makes sense. So we'd still love for it to be considered.
Can she go for, and I'm tossing this out because she's done very well with her services.
Yes.
Can we set it up? If that home study's approved, anybody got any heartburn if we let her go down there on some weekends and spend the whole weekend in the same house with her parents and the kids and just start ramping this thing up? Anybody got a problem with that?
Once we get to that point, Your Honor, I don't think we will.
I think it's okay.
It'll take a little bit to get the home study, and if it gets approved, so we'll be a little further down the road. So I don't think that'll be a problem once we get there.
I think that would be fine. In terms of grandparents would want to make sure before we move these boys that those services are set up there,
Yeah.
Jace is very much routine oriented. And so I know that foster parents would be willing to work with mom, grandparents, anybody in going through the routine, going through what's really been working with him, because his verbal ability has really increased. So I just want to make sure that before they're moved, we've got some continuation of services, some transfer of information, so that it's as painless as possible.
Well, okay, since they're not here, okay, I mean, to me, that just changes everything.
Yeah.
Are we doing more damage than good by another move with these kids?
Maybe I
Particularly
was thinking they were here and that they could work as a team all together here.
Me too.
But I do worry about the move.
So are we
just
better
doing it
off?
again.
Are we better off to just try to ramp up everything we can with mom's participation and learning some of these skills, and then just try to get to where we're going to make one move home to mom instead of the interim move?
I think a change in placement would be kind of hard on Jace, especially with his condition. And like I said, the current caregivers do really do provide for everything that both children need. But that's my take on it, Your Honor.
Okay.
Right, but at some point in time, with her and substantial compliance, arguably so far, it's not, I get that they're getting all of these things at foster parents' house, but at some point, like Judge Baker was saying, we got to get mom some reps. We got to get her reps, and we got to get them quickly, because she's been apart from these babies for a while now, which we understand why, but at some point, we can't just throw them back in her lap.
And from my perspective, I think I would prefer to see, whatever we can do to support mom, get her more contact, and then make one move to her. But I don't know how practical that is, but if I had a magic wand, that's what I would prefer.
Well,
Judge, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Okay, everybody hold on. Okay. I am now a full, almost 45 minutes behind on a very busy day. Can we reset this case? And I don't know what everybody's got going on, but I'm just asking. We've got something set tomorrow. Ms. Katie, could we stick this somewhere after that tomorrow morning? I want to give this the time that it deserves, and I don't have it today.
Yes, ma'am.
So can all of you relog back in tomorrow for, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What kind of time are we looking at tomorrow on that?
I'm not sure about those motions. I haven't heard back from everyone. So if those go, we're probably looking at around 10:30 or 11.
Can everybody do, say, 11 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to do that to y'all, but I'm just, I'm
Do we say
just watching
10:30?
things slip through my finger, and I've got lots of people waiting on us, and I just, I hate keeping people waiting like this. So I didn't know we were going to get this, bogged down in this today. So I'm sorry, but, all right, let's just stop where we are. I'll see everybody at 11 o'clock tomorrow on this matter. And I'm going to give some thought about what we can do, and I want everybody else to do the same.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My apologies, y'all, but let's do that where we can give it the time that it needs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
I'm not a party to the next one, so I'm going to step away for a sec.
And Judge, while you're pulling everybody in, Mr. Ryan is my witness on this next one. Can I speak to him just real quick? And it won't take just a second.
Okay.
And if you'd go ahead
You
and,
said, all right, who did you say?
Mr. Ryan,
Oh, okay.
And I'm looking for Isamar. Pineda
Pineda.
Hernandez. If you go ahead and bring her in too, Your Honor.
All right. Okay, Mr. Trotz, you can go back to 1, and Mr. Ryan, I'll assign you there to 1.
Judge, we are back in.
Okay, so you ready for the fastest prove up ever?
Well, and that was what I was supposed to ask. I know Ms. Sapien responded. Mr. Morales.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I meant to reply this morning. I'm unopposed. I was rushing out of court. I had a 9 o'clock hearing in Canyon.
Okay, so you're good with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. And I believe TD, he not here today, but I believe he's fine. He'll be fine with it. I'll just let the court know on that. Thank you.
All right, then I will call cause number 99414-2 in the interest of Deshane Hughes. We're here for our final. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming. Ms. Galvan is making our record. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready, Your Honor.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Tyshika Brown. My client is not present. I do not expect her, but I'm ready.
Jerry Morales on behalf of Respondent Father Tyrell Hughes, Your Honor. I don't believe my client will be present. He has executed an affidavit of relinquishment, so I am ready.
Sean Ryan, permanency specialist at St. Francis Ministries.
All right, and Mr. Hammonds is not present, but he has filed a report with the court recommending that the department accept relinquishments. We'll get into that, I guess, when we have finished up, but he has communicated his recommendations.
And Your Honor, with that, since we'll be proving up relinquishments, I've just emailed out and discussed with Ms. Sapien and Mr. Morales as far as if everybody's good, having the court take judicial notice of the affidavit of removal and the testimony from prior hearing. To them, there's been no objection. I never heard back from Mr. Hammonds on that, but I'm assuming with his recommendation of proceeding, he wouldn't have an issue with that. But I would put that in front of the court.
All right, I would take it as well that he would not have any objection to that based on his written recommendations. Okay, so there being no objection, then I will take judicial notice of both voluntary affidavits of relinquishment of parental rights, which have been executed by Tyshika Brown and by Tyrell Hughes with respect to the child, Deshane Hughes.
And as to the testimony for the removal, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I'll take judicial notice of the affidavit in support of removal in an emergency of the children, and the contents of that. Okay, Mr. Trout, then you can call your first witness.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, Your Honor, since I'm not going to do testimony on the removal, Ms. Hernandez Pineda was here to testify to that. If we can release her, I know she's been waiting on us, so I apologize about that, but I don't believe I'll need her testimony today.
All right, counsel, any objections?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Hernandez Pineda, thank you very much for your patience. You're free to go.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Smart. And with that, Judge, I'd call Sean Ryan.
All right, Mr. Ryan, if you will, please raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You.
Okay. All right, you may proceed.
Mr. Ryan, would you state your name for the record, please?
Sean Ryan, permanency specialist. Sorry.
Go ahead. Permanency specialist with St. Francis.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ryan, are you familiar with the case involving the child, Deshane Hughes?
Yes, sir.
And are you the permanency specialist on that case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did the mother, Tyshika Brown, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 15th day of November 2024?
Yes, sir.
Have you had the opportunity to review that?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent mother sign the affidavit?
Yes, sir.
Were there two witnesses?
Yes, sir.
Was it notarized?
Yes, sir.
Did the department consent to being the designated managing conservator of the child?
Yes, sir.
Was it filed with the court on December 10th of 2024?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit into evidence exhibit number 1. It's the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment that was just testified to.
No objection.
Any objection? I heard Ms. Sapien.
No objection.
All right, then petitioner's exhibit 1 will be admitted.
Mr. Ryan, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ryan, are you asking the court to terminate the parental rights of Tashika Brown as to the child Deshane Hughes based solely upon the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
Sir.
Are you willing to waive all other grounds alleged?
Yes, sir.
And you believe that's in the best interest of the child?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Exhibit number 2, Mr. Ryan, did the dad, Tyrell Hughes, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment as to the child Deshane Hughes on the 3rd day of April 2025?
Yes, sir.
You had opportunity to review that relinquishment.
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent father, Tyrell Hughes, sign that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Were there 2 witnesses?
Yes, sir.
Was it notarized?
Yes, sir.
Has the department consented to being the designated managing conservator of the child?
Yes, sir.
And was this affidavit of voluntary relinquishment filed on April 4th of 2025?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 2 into evidence as the affidavit that was testified to.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 2 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Ryan, are you asking the court to terminate the parental rights of Tyrell Hughes to the child Deshane Hughes based solely upon the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
And requesting to waive all other grounds?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that's in the best interest of the child?
Yes, sir.
Is the child in a placement that is willing to adopt?
Yes, sir.
And so the child is placed in a long-term placement?
Yes, sir.
And how is the child doing in that placement?
Doing great. The child's with the siblings, well cared for. All his needs are being met. Everything's perfect.
And you do believe, again, that it's in the best interest of the child to terminate both parental rights based upon these voluntary relinquishments?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Sapien, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Morales?
No questions, Judge.
All right, and any further questions of this witness?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Ryan? All right, then, any additional witnesses or does the department rest?
No witnesses, department would rest, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Sapien, anybody to call today?
No witnesses, Your Honor. Rest and close.
All right, Mr. Morales?
No witnesses, Your Honor. Rest and close.
All right. All right, Mr. Hammond circulated his recommendation earlier, and so for the record, I'm just going to read this into the record. I am the guardian ad litem for Deshane. I've spoken to the foster parents, and they want to adopt Deshane. He is thriving in placement with his 4 older siblings, and he gets along fine with foster parents, 2 biological children. I recommend that the court accept the relinquishments that have been executed by the parents, Tashika Brown and Tyrell Hughes, terminate their parental rights, and allow the foster parents to adopt Deshane and his older brother, King Tyrell Hughes, who is in a position to be adopted now by the foster parents. Obviously, that child's not a subject of this case. But anyway, that is Mr. Hammond's recommendation. And so if everybody has closed, which I think you have. All right, at this time, then I do find it's in the best interest of the child, Deshane Hughes, and I find by clear and convincing evidence that it's in his best interest to terminate the parental rights of Tashika Brown and Tyrell Hughes. to the child based on Texas Family Code 161.001 subsection B1, the K grounds only, and the best interest under Texas Family Code 161.001 subsection B2. I will name the department as permanent managing conservator of the child. Will continue the child's current placement. At this time, I'll dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the appropriate de novo and appeal timeframes expire, with the exception of Mr. Hammonds, who will remain as the child's attorney and guardian ad litem. Counsel, as always, if you're instructed to file a notice of appeal, please do not do so till a final order has been signed and adopted by the referring court. For those still involved, we will have our first review hearing July 10th, 2025. That will be on a 9 o'clock docket. All right. Thank you all very, very much.
Your Honor,
Appreciate it. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Sorry, Your Honor, one quick thing. I just looked, I don't think we've ever actually adjudicated that. He was pled in as an alleged. He did, of course, sign on the voluntary relinquishment that he is the father. But he was pled in as alleged. I don't think we ever went through adjudicating him.
All right, well then I will adjudicate him as the father of Deshane Hughes based on his acknowledgement that he is the father in that affidavit, and establish the parent-child relationship between them, and then the termination grounds stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge.
In the interest of Alexi Oliveras, we're here on our final today. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services will present ready, Your Honor.
Stacey Grant on behalf of respondent mother Samantha Medina. My client's not present, not expected, Your Honor, but I'm ready to proceed.
Lauren, Sarah standing in for Kendra Naranjo, Your Honor, attorney for the father, Mr. Olivares, Your Honor. We're both present and ready.
Stacey Zabala on behalf of Alexi.
Mr. Trout, any announcements to make? Are we ready to take testimony?
A quick testimony, Your Honor. I did speak with Ms. Grant as far as kind of same situation as last hearing. As far as if asking the court to take judicial notice of the removal of affidavit or affidavit of removal from this case as to mom. We'll be proving up relinquishment today that mom filed and filled out in the last case that we did not prove up. So it would be requesting a sole managing to the father and proving up relinquishment on mom. But just to ask if there's any objections to taking judicial notice of the affidavit of removal instead of testimony today.
No objection, Your Honor.
We have no objection, Your Honor. The mother previously in the previous case prior to this removal testified to her affidavit of relinquishment. Our position has not changed, and we stipulate that all of the facts in the relinquishment are true and correct, and we do not require testimony on the removal in this case.
Okay, relinquishment or affidavit for removal?
Affidavit for removal, we do not, we stipulate to that, Judge.
Okay. All right, so the request is to take judicial notice of the affidavit in support of removal.
Yes, ma'am.
No objection.
Correct.
Okay, I'll take judicial notice of that document. All right. Also, did you ask for that for her affidavit? Are you going to?
I'll prove it up I'll prove it up right now, Your Honor. But I would ask with that affidavit of removal that we allow Mr. Jared Aureliano to be released. He was going to be my witness to that if we needed to take testimony.
No
Any
objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Mr. Aureliano, sounds like you're free to go on about your day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. And with that, Your Honor, I'd call Tori Cook.
Hey, Ms. Cook, if you will, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, very good. All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Cook, would you state your name for the record, please?
Tori Cook,
And Ms. Cook, how are you employed?
permanency specialist with St. Francis.
And are you familiar with the case we're here on today, involving the Olivares child?
Yes,
And how are you familiar with that case?
I am her permanency specialist.
Okay. And the child is placed back home with dad, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And today we're asking that dad be made sole managing conservator of the child, correct?
yes,
Okay. As far as mom, did you receive what I sent out, the exhibits?
yes,
Okay. Do you have exhibit number 1 in front of you?
I do.
Okay. Did the mother, Samantha Medina, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 30th day of November of 2022?
Yes,
And have you had the opportunity to review that relinquishment?
yes,
And did the mother sign that relinquishment?
she did.
Were there 2 witnesses to that relinquishment?
Yes,
Has it been notarized?
yes, it has.
Did the department consent at that time to be the managing conservator?
Yes,
But at this time, we will not be asking for the department to be the managing conservator, just dad.
correct.
Was that filed with the court on March 21st of 2023?
Yes,
And are you asking the court today to terminate the parental rights of Samantha Medina as to the child Alexi Olivares based solely upon that affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
yes,
And do you believe that is in the best interest of the child?
I do.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 1 of the affidavit that was just testified to.
No
Any objection?
No
No
objection.
objection?
All right, petitioners, exhibit 1 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And as far as mom waiving all other grounds?
Correct.
Okay. Child doing well since being placed back with dad?
Yes, she's doing exceptionally well.
Okay. And you do believe that sole managing to dad, the department being released from obligations in the case, and mom being terminated on under the voluntary relinquishments, it is in that best interest of the child?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Grant, any questions?
Ms. Cook, do you have any knowledge of a previous order of $100 a month in child support in this case?
I am not sure of the amount, but I know there was child support ordered. Yes.
Okay, and you're not requesting today that child support continue, correct?
No, ma'am.
And do you have any testimony today to offer regarding any arrearages that might have existed in that child support order?
No, ma'am.
Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Ms. Lucero?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Cook, I just really had a question regarding Medicaid. Currently, is a child covered under Medicaid?
Yes.
Okay, and is that under the department's temporary managing conservator?
Yes, however, she was also covered by Medicaid before the removal.
Okay, so will that, I'm just making sure that once this case closes out, that the Medicaid can be transferred over to be carried under her father, Mr. Olivares. Will that happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any steps that he'll need to take to do that, or is that something that y'all paperwork that's done after the case closes, or do you know?
He will have to call, and I've talked to him about that, so.
Okay, all right then. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Vala, any questions?
Ms. Cook, just a short follow-up on what Ms. Lucero was asking. There was a previous case, and when that case closed, something about Medicaid didn't transfer over, and so they were having problems accessing the Medicaid benefits. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so we believe that was probably just a fluke last time and shouldn't happen this time. Is that right?
That should be correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If by any chance after this case closes and there's any documentation that Mr. Olivares needs in order to fix that Medicaid problem, we would be willing to give them that documentation. Is that correct?
100%. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further from this witness?
Nothing further from this witness, Your Honor, and no further witnesses. Department rest.
All right, then, Anybody have any further questions for Ms. Cook?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Grant, anything to present today?
Your Honor, I would just ask if all attorneys are willing to stipulate that no child support is sought in this matter moving forward, that the ad litem agrees that no child support should be ordered, and that no arrearages exist.
Your Honor,
I don't know if anybody, well, I guess here's my question. I'm not sure if anybody can stipulate if there's any arrearages that exist. And
Yeah, I was gonna say,
there's not really, there's nothing that really I can do to change that. So, I mean, if there, I think we can certainly address current child support, but if there are any arrears, I think it's just out there.
I don't
I was
believe
gonna
there
say
are,
the same.
Judge, but I understand.
I was gonna say the same, Your Honor. I'll stipulate that we're not asking for any child support going forward. As far as arrearages, I do not know on that. So I wouldn't be able to stipulate that there's none, but I don't know.
Thank you,
I
Judge.
agree.
So the department is not seeking any payment of any arrears owed to the department.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
And then I would
So-
like to call Mr. Olivares regarding any waiver that he is making in regard to that, Judge.
Okay, but we're clear that the department is not seeking any arrearage judgment if there are indeed arrears owed to the department.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Grant, you can call your witness.
Thank you. I call Alan Olivares.
All right, Mr. Olivares, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, you may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Olivares. Is it correct that you previously testified that you do not need nor are seeking the $100 child support in this case to continue and or be redirected to you?
Yeah, that's cool. I don't need it.
Okay. And you are okay with the relinquishment and you agree that's in the best interest of the child, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Pass the witness.
Anybody else have any further questions for Mr. Olivares?
No question, Your Honor.
No question.
All right, Ms. Grant, do you rest?
I rest, Judge. No further witnesses.
All right, Ms. Lucero?
Your Honor, I don't have any questions. I spoke with Mr. Olivares, and of course, he's on board to be named sole managing conservator of the child. And as was discussed here, if he needs any help with getting the Medicaid paperwork, he'd appreciate that. And that's all I have for the court today, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for standing in for Ms. Naranjo and helping us get this done today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, no witnesses. I rest.
All right, you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do believe it's in Alexi's best interest to remain with Dad, for him to be named sole managing conservator, for the relinquishment, for the termination of mom's rights based on the relinquishment and no child support going forward. I believe all of that is in Alexi's best interest.
All right, thank you very much, then. All right. I find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the child, Alexi Olivares, to terminate the parental rights between the child and the mother, Samantha Medina, based on her voluntary affidavit of relinquishment of parental rights only in the best interest of the child under subsection B2. At this time, I will name Mr. Alan Olivares as the sole managing conservator of the child. I will find that there are no arrears owed to the department by the mother, no child support arrears, and or medical support arrears. Let me be clear. I'll dismiss the department from the case and all other attorneys from the case after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire in the case. Counsel, as always, if you're instructed to file a notice of appeal, please do not do that until a final order has been signed and adopted by the referring court. This being a final disposition of this case, child back to a parent, there won't be any further hearings once we're out, so no further hearings to announce. Mr. Oliveras, congratulations and thank you so much. And I'm so proud of the progress that you guys have made and so happy that Alexi's home and doing well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Continued good luck.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
I just want to get something on the record real quickly. I'm going to go ahead and call cause number 98315E in the interest of Crew and Duncan Kirkpatrick. We are here today for our final in this case. And this case has been extended already. The dismissal date is April 25th.
Judge, Ms. Kirkpatrick's still in the breakout room. I'm going to move her.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. I forgot she was still in there.
I did too. Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah.
Tell them I'm having
Apparently I received a text from Lorna that she was about to have to go in an ambulance to the hospital, and then she wanted me to relay that to you guys.
Okay, we're trying to get her back in here.
I believe
Still logged in.
I believe her mother Tanya is actually logged in, Judge, and is with her.
Well, I still show her on a separate device.
She is. I think she just can't manage it. But Miss Cadera,
I'm here.
There you are. Is she with you, ma'am?
Yes, she is. She is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm
she
just
get-
calling, I'm gonna call the case to take, just to make a quick announcement. So, all right, so we're here today for our final in this case. And the case has been extended. Our dismissal date is April 25th. So just in a couple of days. All right, my understanding is that relinquishments are sort of en route. And so we're gonna recess until 1:30, which time we can resume and just do a quick prove up on those. Parents would not be required to reappear at 1:30 unless they just want to. Also, I believe Mr. Trout thought that Ms. Lucera would not need to return at 1:30. I think council, we'll get this on the record, have agreed to stipulate to the affidavit of removal. So, all right, present today, Mr. Trout for the department. Ms. Grant is present for the mother, Lorna Kirkpatrick. Mr. Nowak is present for Duncan Kirkpatrick. And Ms. Zavala is present on behalf of the children. So, just real quickly, council, Ms. Grant, Mr. Novak, and Ms. Zavala, you all have in a bench conference told the court that you would stipulate to the affidavit of removal in the protection of a child that was filed with the court. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Lucero, your attendance will not be required at 1:30. I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
as long
Elaine.
as we get those relinquishments executed, then between now and 1:30, Ms. Kirkpatrick nor Mr. Kirkpatrick would be required to return, but you certainly may. So,
Tanya, were y'all able to get that done?
Yeah, she's got it done, and then we're just gonna have to scan it and get that back to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
okay, all right, then I'm just gonna leave the feed up in case somebody, I'm gonna basically be close by. If somebody needs to yell at me, whatever in the background, give me a minute or two and I'll get to my computer and respond, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, let me, when we break, let me speak to my clients real quick again.
Sure. Okay, all right, everybody else you're free to, you can either stay right where you are. If you want to log out and log back in, that's fine too, whatever you want to do.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Tanya, Lorna does not have to come back at 1:30 as long as you get me that document, as the judge stated. And go ahead and take care. I know she's having a medical issue after I spoke with her. I understand that. So as soon as I get that document, please just take care of her. She's not required to be here at 1:30. I'll take care of 1:30.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll get that to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And you can call my office if you need me.
Thank you so much. Well, do you know if they'll still be able to talk about me being part of that CPA, that case that's ongoing?
I did speak with Mr. Trout about that, Tanya, and you may contact the caseworker and have grandparent visits after this hearing today, and they will set you up.
Okay.
And you are allowed to request that, and they don't object to you requesting that. Just contact the caseworker to set that up.
Thank you so much. We'll get that to you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lopez and Ms. Lane, Mr. Trout wants you all to rejoin room 1, if you would, please.
We let Vince judge us. He's pretty nice.
The older I get, the less I judge.
Me too. It's because the more I know about myself, and I don't want to be on the receiving end, so I try to be a little bit nice.
Oh, listen, yeah, there's just too much in my past, too much fodder. I don't want to give anyone the chance.
Yeah, we don't want people digging through our closets, right?
There you go.
We'll go back on the record in cause number 98315E. After a short recess. All right, how many witnesses do you have?
Just one, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Is that going to be Ms. Lane?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Lane, if you will. Thank you. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may proceed.
Ms. Lane, would you state your name for the record, please?
Mickey Lane.
And Ms. Lane, how are you employed?
I'm employed as a permanency specialist at St. Francis Ministries.
And are you familiar with the case we're here on today involving the children Duncan Kirkpatrick and Crew Kirkpatrick?
Yes, sir.
And are you the permanency specialist on that case?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent father, Duncan Kirkpatrick, sign an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment as to both children on the 22nd day of April 2025?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to review those relinquishments?
Yes, sir.
Has the respondent signed the relinquishments?
Yes, sir.
Were they notarized?
Yes, sir.
Was it witnessed by 2 people?
Yes.
Has the department consented to being the designated managing conservator of the child?
Yes.
Or of the children, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask to bench file Dad's affidavit of voluntary relinquishment. It is marked exhibit number 1.
No objection.
No objection?
No objection.
All right, I will. I'm printing it here as we speak. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, I'd ask to go ahead and admit that affidavit as exhibit number 1.
Any objection, counsel?
No objection.
No objection?
All right, petitioner's exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, are you asking the court to terminate the parental rights of Duncan Kirkpatrick as to the child Duncan Kirkpatrick II and Crew Kirkpatrick based solely upon the voluntary relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
And is the department agreeing to waive all other grounds?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that is in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lane, did the mother, Lorna Kirkpatrick, execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 22nd day of April 2025?
Yes, sir.
Have you had the opportunity to review that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Did the respondent mother sign the relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Were there 2 witnesses to that relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
Has it been notarized?
Yes, sir.
Has the department consented to being the managing conservator of the children?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask to bench file the mother's affidavit of voluntary relinquishment that was just testified to and ask to admit it as exhibit number 2.
Petitioner's exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, is the department asking the court today to terminate the parental rights of Lorna Kirkpatrick as to Duncan Kirkpatrick II and Crew Kirkpatrick based solely upon her affidavit of voluntary relinquishment?
Yes, sir.
And agreeing to waive all other grounds?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that's in the best interest of the children?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Lane, how are the children doing?
The children are doing really well in their home with their grandfather. They're very comfortable. Crew has started talking a lot more. He's running and walking. He will run up to me and scream my name. So he's definitely learning a lot of words. Cope is still doing, or Duncan the second is doing really well in the home. He's comfortable. I've asked him every time I've been out there if he's okay and if he's doing well, and he always responds that he is, and his grades are all straight A's. I've seen his report card.
Okay. And they are placed with paternal grandfather, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at this time, there's no reason or intention to move the children.
Correct.
We do have an ICPC also that's pending on maternal grandmother. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But at this time, we're asking that the children will not be moved unless there's a further order of the court or an agreement, correct? Okay. And you believe that is also in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, any questions?
Very briefly, Judge. Ms. Lane, you've made every effort to have a face-to-face meeting with Lorna Kirkpatrick this month as required, correct?
Correct.
And because we do that through my office, we have not achieved that. However, your effort, that was not due to any lack of effort on your part. Would you agree?
Yes.
And as to the maternal grandmother and the ICPC, do you have any objection to her contacting you and setting up video visits for herself only without the mother present?
No, ma'am, I don't have any concerns.
So if I've instructed her to contact you in regard to setting that up, that would be the appropriate course for her to take in order to set that up, correct?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Nowak?
Briefly, thank you, Judge Mickey. It's always good to see you. Is the current plan, I know not everything is set in stone, but is the current plan for Cliff Kirkpatrick to proceed with adoption?
Yes. The children are in their intended placement.
Excellent. And I know because we're placing or potentially families going to adopt, what are your thoughts on, I'm not sure what they're called anymore, but when I was adopting about 25 years ago, they were called goodbye visits. I hate that term, but what are your thoughts on Duncan or Lorna having one of those visits? Maybe we don't have to call it a goodbye visit in front of the kids.
I think it was discussed even during mediation about a goodbye visit. I don't think St. Francis was an objection to doing a goodbye visit.
And again, you'd be the contact for that sort of visit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mickey, thank you so much, Judge. That's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trott, do you have any further questions of this witness?
Just the one, I think it's kind of covered, but just to ask anyway. Ms. Lane, you're also asking for the department to be named permanent managing conservator of the children at this time, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I'll pass witness, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, anybody else have any further questions for Ms. Lane? All right, then, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Department will rest.
Okay. Ms. Grant?
No witnesses, Your Honor, and I hope I didn't miss it as my computer cut out, but did Mr. Trout state on the record that he's waiving all grounds other than the relinquishment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we rest.
Okay, Mr. Nowak?
Rest, Judge.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
No witnesses, I rest.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make in particular regarding this visit?
Yes, Your Honor. I have visited with the boys regularly in the home. They're doing very well. I do believe that termination of parental rights is in their best interest. I think that if there is to be what's termed as a goodbye visit, because of the nature of the substances used, we've got to have a clean UA. I mean, that would be huge in terms of any continued access to the children. I did discuss with placement last night, specifically and in previous visits, that while adoption is pending, that rules as to who gets visits all goes through St. Francis. And so we were very clear about no contact with parents during that time, other than if such a visit is ordered.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ball. Well,
Your Honor, may I speak on something real quick on that?
sure.
I don't think my client says, Ms. Lane said, we have an issue with goodbye visits at all. As Ms. Zavala said, with the nature of the substances in this case, I'd hate to do a goodbye visit if we're waiting on drug screens and stuff to come back positive to be, 2 or 3 months down the road when that happens. If parents' attorneys are okay with it, I would recommend do it as a virtual visit to where we can do it sooner rather than later. Just so we're not pushing them out so far. I don't want to start confusing the children as to why they're shut off and then months down the road, they're seeing parents all of a sudden. I think we would be in agreement with virtual visits, if parents are going to be testing positive right now. Just so we're not pushing them out down the road. But that's all I have to say.
And Your Honor, my client is actually in Oklahoma, and a virtual visit would probably be more appropriate for her. Additionally, she's got a little medical issue going on right now, and it would also probably facilitate quicker with her virtually, and we don't object.
Okay, I won't stand in the way of a virtual visit, but I don't want it, particularly because of Cope's age, I don't want it referred to, in the visit as any kind of goodbye visit, and that visit can occur and take place as long as everybody's appropriate. And things are calm and under control. I don't know how effective this really is with Crew at his age, but he can join in for the time that anybody can keep a 2-year-old engaged or
And
something like that.
Judge, Ms. Lane just reminded me, Dad did screen in April for us. He was clean on a UA, this month. So I will throw that out there.
And Judge, with the nature of the recurrences in this case and the severity and risk at the children of contact visits based on substances used, I would be concerned if we didn't do a UA like immediately prior to the visit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I would want a contemporaneous, screen done. I mean, his hair was positive in March.
Yes, ma'am.
So
And
they can both do a UA, but, and if they're negative, I don't know. I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna order that they be virtual.
Okay.
I think as most of you well know, I'm not a big fan of these because I think it's really hard on the kids.
Yes, ma'am.
But, and because there's been some interruption in visitation because of the positive drug screens, I mean, I think it just keeps the children on a roller coaster, but, I'll allow it to happen, but I'm only going to allow it to happen virtually. And like I said, with no reference to it being a goodbye visit.
Yes, ma'am.
The truth of the matter is the children are with family members, and, at some point in time, we hope that they'll be adopted by family. And, then it's going to be up to the family to determine what contact, if any, these folks ever have with the children. And, it's like most families, I suspect if they get clean and stay clean for a while and demonstrate that they really, have got things under control, family can be very forgiving. And I suspect that they probably would allow them contact under those circumstances, and I hope only under those circumstances. So, you know, at some point in time, when we're out of this, that's very likely to happen if they will both get clean, you know,
Yes.
or if one or the other. It's not, they're not, you know, necessarily tied together on that. So, anyway, we'll just stick with the virtual visit right now. Okay, then I do find by clear and convincing evidence that the best interest of the children, Crew, Kirkpatrick, and Duncan Kirkpatrick II, that it is in their best interest to terminate the parental rights between both of those children and their mother, Lorna Kirkpatrick, and their father, Duncan Kirkpatrick, based on their voluntary affidavits of relinquishment only under the K grounds and under the best interests under subsection B2. I will name the department as permanent managing conservator of both children, and I will dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire. Counsel, as always, be mindful that your de novo time does begin to run since we've rendered an open court. And also, if you're instructed to file a notice of appeal, please do not do that until a final order has been signed and adopted by the referring court. Since Mr. Kirkpatrick is here, I wish him the very best of luck in his future, and I hope that, you know, this is a demon that he can ultimately get under control. Because whether you're legally their dad or not, you are a part of their life, and, you know, kids need everybody they can have to depend on and to be part of their lives, as long as it's a good influence. So, I appreciate, counsel, all of your work today to get this handled and get paperwork back and signed, and we will send these relinquishments down to the clerk's office this afternoon. Anybody have anything else? I will announce, though, for everybody, for those still involved, obviously Ms. Zavala will be in the department, but our next review hearing is July 10th of 2025, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then, we will adjourn. Ms. Gilman, thank you so much for your time today. As always, we really appreciate you.
You're welcome, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. Everybody
Thank you.
else have a good rest of your day.